Good morning, everyone. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you today. This CRUA, I haven't been keeping very close tabs of this, but I think this is about my 12th CRUA. And this is my second since becoming Commissioner of Reclamation. Last year, however, I was recused from dealing with a lot of the Colorado River issues. There's a one-year recusal if I had dealt with them previously, and I had. So I didn't have much to do with Colorado River issues, except some on the lower basin during that one-year recusal period. Since then, though, my recusal period is done. I can engage in all Colorado River issues, I believe, at this point. And I'm happy to do so. You know, I want to just acknowledge the theme of this conference, 70 years of communications and collaboration, and I haven't been able to sit in on all of the presentations here, but I sat in yesterday on a number of them, and certainly collaboration and communication is a key to everything that we do here. It's what makes the Colorado River functional. And you know, my speaking or my talk is going to be very short. There's a number of panelists here, and then we're going to have a keynote address by our Deputy Secretary of Interior, Mike Connor. But it's an honor, truly is an honor to be up here with Commissioner Drusina from the IBWC, Commissioner Salmon from SILA, the Mexican counterpart, and Deputy Director Alcocer from CONAGUA, the National Commission of Water for Mexico. We've done an awful lot of work with our Mexican counterparts, and we will continue. Today, what I want to talk about, just very briefly, yesterday in virtually every panel there was talk about the drought and how it, the severity of the drought and how it continues. But just, I want to put that, I want to continue that context today, so I'm just going to repeat a little bit of what we heard yesterday. Lakes Powell and Meade, we started in 1999 with both of those reservoirs essentially full. By 2003, after 4 years of drought, they were about half full. So far, that drought has lasted about 16 years. And today, we find Lake Powell at about 50% full, with just a bit over 12 million acre-feet of storage. Lake Meade at about 38% full, with just under 10 million acre-feet of storage. And we heard yesterday about how we've taken so many actions to try and assure ourselves that we'll be able to continue to count on that supply, but we need to do more. Certainly, we don't know when this drought is going to end, and there's certainly a lot of concern about a changing climate and where that exactly is going to lead us. And even without consideration of drought or climate change, we heard yesterday about the structural deficit, the fact that we've got to really rearrange how we're using water if we want to be able to count on this supply over the long haul. Our Deputy Secretary Connor is going to address much of what's being done on this, and I've tried to limit my remarks to where we won't overlap too much on the information we give you. So I'm going to talk just briefly about our system conservation pilot program efforts. And since we have Commissioners Salmon and Drusina here to talk about the ongoing Mexico-U.S. collaboration for a new treaty minute. They will cover most of that, but I do want to just touch on the importance of it before I move on. So, System Conservation Pilot Project. It's one of the areas of significant progress in terms of learning how to better manage the river. In July of 2014, Reclamation signed an innovative funding program with 4 municipal entities in the Colorado River Basin. Those are Southern Nevada Water Authority, Central Arizona Water Conservation District, the Metropolitan Water District, and Denver Water. Together, we agreed to jointly fund an $11 million pilot program over 3 years to encourage voluntary conservation projects to retain system water, that is, water that's not allocated or in anybody's name. It's simply additional water that will remain in the river for everybody's benefit in both Lakes Powell and Meade, and to help mitigate the effects of drought. But perhaps more importantly, to learn about new tools and new ways of better managing demand. That $11 million was split between the upper basin and lower basin. $8.25 million were reserved for the lower basin, and $2.75 million were allocated for use in the upper basin. Reclamation is implementing the pilot program in the lower basin, and we began by soliciting pre-proposals for conservation projects from about 50 water users in the lower basin. After going through an extensive screening process, 3 projects were approved for funding, and we estimate that those will conserve approximately 30,000 acre-feet. 3 additional project agreements are being negotiated now and are expected to be executed by the end of the year. And these 3 projects will conserve an additional 33,000 acre-feet. In the upper basin, the pilot program is being implemented by the Upper Colorado River Commission. I came from the upper basin, and I was not at all certain about how this might be received or whether there would be any proposals if we tried. But last year, there were 15 proposals received, 9 were awarded, and those are expected to reduce use by about 3,300 acre-feet, so 3,300 acre-feet in 2015. We're starting up the next round, and to date, 30 proposals have been received for 16, and the funding partners met just earlier this month to review those, and they will continue to move forward on that. So this program is unique in that, for the first time perhaps, we've got entities in the upper basin and the lower basin contributing to this, and we're using it across both basins, and it's for the benefit of the system. It's not for the benefit of individual users. And again, I'll highlight, it is for all of our benefits in terms of learning how to better manage the system. And it's also for our water users to learn what to expect if they choose to voluntarily enter into a conservation program. How is that going to affect them? And can they count on that water coming back to them when they're done? Things of that nature. So incredibly important information. I've already heard from both basins that they want to continue this project and want to find additional funds, and we're certainly going to be looking for that. Before moving on, I just want to close this piece out. I want to acknowledge the hard work of the Upper Colorado River Division, and particularly of its Executive Director, Don Osler. I think the Upper Colorado has been, it was not at all clear how that would be administered, but the commission, under Don's leadership, stepped up and figured out a way to do this. So I think it's being successful. We're learning a lot. We want to learn a lot more. So again, I want to talk just very briefly about U.S.-Mexico collaboration. My colleagues will really give you a lot more detail. But the one thing I want to emphasize from a reclamation perspective is the importance of completing this next minute negotiation in this upcoming year. We have very clear indications on both sides, on the U.S. side and on the Mexico side, that there is a political will to get this done. We have the relationships, and these relationships have been built up over the last 5, 6, 7 years at least, where we know one another. We know that our colleagues sitting across the table from us are trustworthy and that they're telling us what they need, not simply playing us. And they hopefully know the same of us. We've established strong friendships. The Obama administration is dedicated to this. We have a year to get this done. If it's not done in this year, I think the next administration is certainly going to, in its own time, find out that this is worthwhile doing, but it'll take a long time. We can't afford to lose that time. We've got to get something in place now to continue. So that's my pitch. I just want to follow up with one. Yesterday, former Secretary Salazar, he asked for members from the various states, the tribes, the NGOs to stand up at various times. I think he purposely left for me to ask our Mexican friends to identify themselves and let all of you see how many of them there are. I'd ask our Mexican friends to stand. Por favor, los de México que se paren por un momento. Thank you, and obviously we've got the leadership here at the table. That's the face of collaboration as we move forward. It is all one basin. We've got to make it work across the board. So I'm just going to conclude with talking a little bit about some of the various things that we're involved in from a reclamation perspective. And I know, because I've worked with so many of you around the room, that many of you are involved in one or more or all of these issues as well. Perhaps different from previous years where there was one strong initiative. This year we've got a lot of things going on, and all of them are equally important, and all of them feed into this learning to better operate and adaptively to find flexible adaptations to manage this river. We've got the Glen Canyon Dam Long-Term Experimental and Management Plan, LTEMP. We've got ongoing drought contingency planning that's going on both basins. We're negotiating for a new Minute 32X, that will be described here in more detail. We've got the System Conservation Pilot Program implementation. Those initiatives on top of all of the other things that are just going on from day to day. So there's a huge amount of work. We're committed in reclamation to get all of this done, to find the next increments of flexibility, to keep moving forward in adapting and better managing this river so that we can be assured that we can always rely on the supply that makes this basin such a unique and beautiful place. Thank you.